You know, ladies and gentlemen, in the NFL, it can be really common for NFL legends to move on to another franchise in the twilight years of their career and still be good, productive players. Obviously, you'd have a Tom Brady, who was a legend on the Patriots, seen as the GOAT, who just went and solidified his resume on the Buccaneers in the twilight years of his career, and he still played great on the Buccaneers. And so many other great NFL players have been able to have really strong seasons after moving on from their first notorious franchise. I think of DeAndre Hopkins going from the Texans to the Cardinals, still playing really well in the beginning of the time that he joined the Cardinals. A lot of NFL players can be written off after joining new franchises, but today we are going to look deep and specifically at NFL legends who were on forgotten teams. Now, what I mean by this, ladies and gentlemen, is I mean an NFL legend then joins a team. Now, everybody, like I said, remembers Tom Brady on the Bucs, but we're going to see, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys can remember these legends on these teams. So let's jump right into the list. Jerry Rice is remembered as one of the greatest wide receivers of all time, a true legend of the game, some crazy memories with the 49ers, and people even remember Jerry's time with the Oakland Raiders after. But do you remember Jerry Rice on the Seahawks? In 2004, Jerry Rice actually was a Seattle Seahawk, and he was actually traded there from the Oakland Raiders. Now, Jerry Rice actually played 11 games with the Seahawks and started 9 of them. He was able to catch 25 passes for 362 yards and 3 touchdowns during his time with Seattle. And his first touchdown actually came in Week 10 against the Rams. Jerry Rice actually helped the Seahawks clinch the NFC West title. Even though his impact was limited compared to his prime years, he was still a positive veteran on that team. Like I said, his time in Seattle was very brief, but his leadership and professionalism were very valuable to a young locker room with, a budding star quarterback like Matt Hasselbeck. In 2004, Jerry Rice was 42 years old, still making plays in the NFL, and this was a beautiful cap to his 20-year NFL career. But, ladies and gentlemen, it's not over. Did you know in 2005, Jerry Rice actually signed with the Denver Broncos in May of 2005 and reunited him with his former offensive coordinator from the 49ers, Mike Shanahan. Rice hoped to contribute as a veteran presence on a competitive Broncos team, and Rice wore the unfamiliar number 19 jersey in Denver, as his iconic number 80 jersey was retired for former Broncos receiver Haven Moses. In the preseason, Rice played sparingly and faced stiff competition for a roster spot against a lot of younger receivers. And then he actually decided to retire. Realizing that his playing time would be extremely limited, Rice chose to retire before the start of the 2005 regular season. He said, "I have too much respect for the game and I have too much respect for myself to keep trying to hold on." Now, Rice's legacy with the Broncos, even though he never played a single regular season game, his brief time there symbolized his unwavering commitment to the sport and his desire to contribute to an NFL team. So, ladies and gentlemen, do you remember Jerry Rice on the Seattle Seahawks in 2004 and with the training camp Denver Broncos in 2005? Many people don't, but certainly I do. Now, ladies and gentlemen, next on our list, let's throw back all the way back to the 1977 season. And now we are looking at Joe Namath, one of the most overrated quarterbacks of all time. Sorry, Jets fan, I had to say it. I mean, truly one of the most overrated quarterbacks of all time. I mean, this dude had so many seasons where he threw more interceptions than touchdowns, but he's remembered for that one lucky-ass crazy run that he had. But whatever. Joe Namath is still an NFL legend beyond my thoughts of him being extremely overrated. Let's talk about Joe Namath on the Los Angeles Rams in 1977. Now, at the tail end of his career, obviously known for that legendary tenure with the Jets, quote-unquote legendary, including his, leading the team to a victory in Super Bowl III, blah, blah, blah. The Los Angeles Rams actually brought him in for one final season, and this came after 12 seasons with the Jets, as injuries and declining performance led to his departure. Namath signed with the Rams, hoping to rejuvenate his career with playoff aspirations and a solid supporting cast, but he actually only played in 4 games, starting just 2 due to lingering knee injuries and inconsistent performance. His final season stats were a modest 600 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions with a 50% completion percentage. Nathan's final game in the NFL came in week 4 with a 24-23 loss to the Chicago Bears, where he was sacked frequently and then eventually benched in favor of backup Pat Hayden. But at least in Namath's first game with the Rams, it was a 27-10 victory over the Falcons, where he showed some flashes of that old talent, but that performance very quickly declined. Namath's knees were shot at that point and had been a chronic issue throughout his career, totally limited his mobility and his effectiveness as a passer. This was especially problematic on a Rams team that relied on a balanced offense and, some really strong passing. After being benched, Namath did not return to the field for the rest of the 1977 season, and after that, Namath, announced his retirement from professional football, ending his Hall of Fame career that spanned 13 seasons. His legacy with the Rams is often kind of seen as a footnote of his career, as it certainly lacked the impact and the glamour of his time with the Jets. But, there was some success, limited success, but definitely some success, and his move to Los Angeles symbolized his desire to keep competing even as injuries took their toll. His departure marked the end of an era for some of the NFL's most charismatic and influential players. While his time with the Rams was brief and certainly unremarkable, it, actually really showed the physical toll that football has on an NFL player's career. And, his time in Los Angeles is obviously overshadowed by his iconic Jets career, but it is certainly something that was still there and something that is definitely a part of what his NFL resume looks like. That final season certainly cemented him as a certified tough guy, if, still, in my opinion, he's one of the most overrated players in NFL history. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the final player on my list is a lot more modern, and I'm talking about the future Hall of Famer, Jason Witten. Jason Witten actually joined the Raiders for their 2020 season, and he is an absolute Cowboys legend. Now, my dad's a diehard Cowboys fan, so I watched a lot of Jason Witten growing up, and being a Redskins fan, Jason Witten was an enemy to me, but I was able to appreciate how legendary and how tough of a player that Jason Witten was in his illustrious career with Dallas. However, after retiring briefly in 2018 to work as a broadcaster and actually returning to the Cowboys in 2019, Witten decided to sign with the Las Vegas Raiders for the 2020 NFL season at 38 years old. Witten was sought in to bring some veteran leadership and depth to the Raiders' young roster under head coach John Gruden, with the tight end room of, Darren Waller and Foster Moreau. Witten played in 16 games for the Raiders, even though he only started in 7, and his role in the offense was primarily as a backup and mentor to, like I said, Darren Waller, one of the league's top tight ends. But Witten was able to finish the season with 13 catches, 69 yards, and 2 touchdowns, averaging only 5.3 yards per reception, an absolute career low. But it makes sense, as he was kind of limited as a red zone threat and target, and was used a lot for short yardage type of plays. Some highlights, he was able to score his first touchdown as a Raider in Week 7 in a victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and his second touchdown came in Week 15 against the Los Angeles Chargers. Despite his reduced on-field role, Witten was praised for his leadership in the locker room and his mentorship of younger players, particularly Darren Waller, but definitely some of the Foster Moreau as well, the other tight end in that room. Some of the challenges that he saw was, his athleticism and speed were absolutely chopped, limiting his abilities to create separation from defenders and harming his ability to be a solid blocker, even though he was still a solid blocker at the tail end of his career. He was primarily utilized as the blocker and occasional red zone target, a stark contrast of his years as an elite pass-catching tight end with the Cowboys. But after the 2020 season, Witten announced his retirement again from the NFL, officially now ending his 17-year career. He did sign a one-day contract with the Dallas Cowboys to retire as a member of the franchise, where he spent 16 of his 17 years. Witten left the game as the NFL's second all-time leader in receptions by a tight end with 1,228, and third in receiving yards with 13,000 for a tight end, of course. Now, while his time in Las Vegas was brief and lacks true, big popping statistics, his presence added, some stability to a young and developing team, and his mentorship of Darren Waller certainly had to help, and maybe kept him sane for that time before Darren Waller has fallen off the deep end like he has recently. His 2020 season with the Raiders was about leadership. It was about experience, and it was about developing the next cast of NFL greats. And, although not a focal point of the offense, he was truly a professional on and off the field, and his contributions as a mentor left a long-lasting impact. Now, I was happy to see Jason Witten get out of the NFL as a Redskins fan, not because I'm a hater, not because, I was so scared of him on the Raiders, but Jason Witten torched my franchise for years as a Redskins fan. So, enjoy your time in the broadcast booth, Jason Witten. It's no more beating on my now Commanders. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it. That is our list. That is our 3 forgotten NFL legends playing on forgotten teams. Now, of course, these legends certainly aren't forgotten. These are 3 of some of the most crazy NFL names of all time. But do you remember them being on these teams? This was a really fun video to make. If you guys would want to see more of something like this, certainly let me know in the comments. Drop some other legends that were on forgotten teams in the comments as well. I know it's a little different from my typical forgotten just players list in general, so I hope you guys enjoyed. I love making these videos for you guys, so please make sure you like, subscribe. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers, sitting at 700 subscribers right now. Thank you guys so much for your support. You guys have actually helped me begin the process of monetizing my channel, which I've been doing YouTube for years on different channels, and this is the first time that a channel has ever taken off so quickly and been able to be monetized. So thank you guys so much. It is truly a blessing to be able to be here talking to you guys. I know I provide more of a classic, less crazy editing, YouTube style, but I really appreciate you guys coming here, hanging out with me. If you guys have ever anything you want to see, whether that's more, say, background music, whether that's more crazy edits, guys, you just gotta let me know. I feel like you guys enjoy my more lax style of editing with, less things popping up in your face, but if you guys want to see a more crazy modern editing style, just let me know and I will try to contribute that to more videos, because I want to be able to bring you guys what you guys want to see. So thank you guys again. Make sure you smoke crack, eat drywall, and I will see you guys again with another video very, very soon.